Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
Today we're going to be just doing a quick recap of this past week on all the gaming news that's transpired. We had a PlayStation State of Play, we had a Nintendo Indie World Direct, and then of course we had the Game Awards. So lots of announcements from video games, consoles, world reveals, all sorts of
world
stuff.
Premieres.
So we're kind of just go through the highlights, things that we were interested in, as opposed to going through every single announcement, just to kind of give you an idea of what our thoughts are on it and kind of what we're excited about. And then you can let us know in the comments of what you are most excited about. So let's start off, I guess, with PlayStation State of Play. So they had theirs up, I think it was before Nintendo, so they had it earlier in the morning. And they had a few announcements in there. Nothing crazy from my interests are. But they definitely had, what do you call it? Resident Evil 3 was the big announcement from their trailer, which is basically the single player piece that's going to be bundled with Resident Evil Resistance. I think that's what they called it, right? Which is the only
multiplayer.
So that's going to be available. They showed the new Kingdom Hearts DLC, which looks pretty cool if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. There wasn't like anything that was just screaming at me that was like, oh, this is phenomenal. They opened up with Untitled Goose Game, which was a PC and Switch exclusive, is now officially coming to PlayStation 4. There was some other like a VR Paper Beast game. I think there was a scary, like more freaky looking game that was shown, but everything else escapes me. Nothing else of super interest.
PlayStation's been pretty quiet lately. They haven't announced anything officially really about they haven't peaked their new system or anything like that. The games have just been, nothing that's super exciting that I found, or no exclusives that I have found that would set them
since
apart
God
from
of War and
Xbox
Spider-Man. I assume,
yeah.
I think they don't feel like they need to be at this point because they've gone so far. They won the generation, if you want to go there. Definitely. They don't have to they had the exclusives. They had one almost every single year. Whereas Xbox didn't.
They had
they floundering, right?
Yeah.
So, and the third parties are available on both systems, so it's not like they're losing anything
that way
by slowing down and gearing up for PlayStation 5, which we know is inevitable to be released end of next year, holiday 2020, along with Xbox's Project Scarlet. So, with that being said, the only exclusive that they talked about via a small trailer was Sekiro: Shadows. No, I'm saying that wrong. Ghost of Tsushima. Getting mixed up. Ghost of Tsushima is the one that they talked about, and it was an interesting trailer. I like the gameplay they showed back at E3 on it.
Yeah.
But it looks like a very promising game. It's going to be coming out in April of next year. At least that's the targeted window. And then of course it ended off with saying, stay tuned to the Game Awards to watch the full trailer. And we'll get to that in a bit. But I mean, overall, PlayStation does have some interesting experiences. I have one mostly for the exclusives and the third parties that I can't play on Switch. My Xbox hasn't really gotten that much playtime because from an exclusive standpoint, there hasn't been much.
Yeah.
And there isn't any reason for me to get the third parties on Xbox if the majority of my friends are on the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah.
But I think the future is going to be crossplay, right?
I'm just feeling that Xbox is really, really pushing their games. Before they weren't pushing their games or, doing other software type stuff. Now they're really focusing on, getting their own exclusives, bringing in more developers and owning them, or working closely with them, and then, really, really concentrating, pushing. Even at the awards and, their announcements, they're really going hard for that, and I think they're trying to get the market back.
Absolutely. So if we jump over to the Nintendo's Indie World presentation, I thought that was, despite it being all independent developers, more exciting from like what was presented and what the options were. You had a VR game on PlayStation, but it didn't look very interesting to me. But you got some of these games, and I'm going to go through it really quickly here. And there was like at least 3 or 4 that I was interested in giving a go.
Yeah.
So they opened up with what looked like Golf Story. So everyone was like, oh, it's a Golf Story 2. It's critically acclaimed game. I haven't played it personally, but I had some friends who have and loved it. And I've been looking for a sale to get into it. Yeah. I'm not a huge golf fan, but I am an RPG fan, and so I've kind of been on the edge of like, should I dive in?
It looks very interesting and different, which is something new and exciting. So I would definitely like to dip into that as well. Yeah.
So when we saw this, and then during the trailer, it kind of cut over and it showed a bunch of other sports. Then we found out that this is actually called Sports Story. So it is, while it is a sequel, it is now not just about golf. It's about tennis. It's about soccer. It's about volleyball. It's about
baseball,
fishing. And so I'm
cricket.
like, that would be definitely more. That would kind of be the jumping on point for me because I'm not a big sports guy from a video game standpoint, with the exception being the Mario branded ones because they add the twist, the crazy power ups that just make it fun.
Exactly.
So I love Mario Strikers, Mario Baseball, Mario Tennis, all those games, Mario Kart. So when you have these kind of fun games mixed in, and it's more sports that I'm more akin to, like bowling and tennis and that kind of thing, I'm more interested in that than just standard golf. So and while this still does have golf, it has, again, more variety. So you're not just doing the whole game doing the same sport, but you can do a little bit of golf. Okay, I'm sick of it. I'm going to go switch and try this over here. So I was definitely interested in that.
Definitely.
As
yeah,
a nice, strong
it's one
opener.
of those ones. And I agree with your statement before where you said you were more interested with the Nintendo announcements than PlayStation's. I found that for each time they've done announcements, it's been, Nintendo and Xbox I'm more interested in than the PlayStation announcements, which is different than in the past.
Absolutely. Now, don't get us wrong. Come PlayStation 5, we know there's going to be a Spider-Man sequel. There's going to be a God of War sequel. And those are like day one purchases for me. Awesome games. I love it. They have great exclusives, but just as of late,
they just haven't really been pumping it or announcing anything. And they've just been holding back. And
that's it. And while there's been a lot of more, I guess, horror style games or thriller style games, which isn't really my beat. Yeah, that could be also why.
The Last of Us, I'm sure they might have something.
And that's the only game that I played on PS3, which I really like. So I'll definitely be picking up the sequel. But again, no mention of it, and we know it's been pushed. It was supposed to be end of this year. It's been pushed to next year. Yeah. So that and Ghost of Tsushima is next year. I wouldn't be surprised if what they'll do, if Ghost of Tsushima does launch in April, then they'll save Last of Us for end of next year and have it launch on PS5. Yeah. So simultaneous. Same as they did with PS3 and PS4, where they had Last of Us and literally the next year PS4 came out and then they launched the PS4 version on it.
Correct. Yeah.
So we got that. They jumped into Streets of Rage 4, new beat 'em up sequel. We got Gleamlight. That one looked pretty interesting to me. Bacon Switch, which looked like a glorified Overcooked game. I prefer Overcooked, so it wasn't really interesting to me, but it's great that other people are trying their own take on it. Yeah. And then there was this really, really creative game called Super Mash. And the way it was presented was a developer talking about games making games and like endless possibilities, and it was kind of confusing, and I was kind of like, okay, well, give us an example. Then the trailer cuts in, and it's just phenomenal. We get to see what looks like full-blown games, like an RPG game, a flying game, a fighting game, etc., etc. Yeah, and then it talks about what if you could take two game genres and mash them together, and then it literally does it, and you can see like so many different varieties of games.
That cartridges up, and you can scroll. It seemed endless, but there's obviously
well, I mean, you think about genres, and you have like your dungeon crawler, you have your MMO. Well, not gonna have an MMO, but you have your multiplayer games, you have your fighting games, you have your shoot 'em ups, you have your stealth, you have platformers. There's so many sports games. There's so many possibilities, and from what we saw in the trailer, as they were mashing up these different games and showing examples, it just looked like, wow, like, is there 50 options? Is there 100 options? Yeah. Are they going to be reusing assets in every game? Are you fighting against the same enemies in different ways? But from the trailer, like, I've never seen the same enemy twice. Yeah. It looked like everything was always fresh and new.
And even the styles were
art
different
styles
as well.
Yeah, you got like a
3D sim type, and one was like 2D paper, and like there's just a bunch. Like one looked like Contra, one looked like those plane flying games, alien things.
You had two different style of RPGs, turn based and like action RPGs. It just was phenomenal. So I definitely want to keep my eyes on that.
That's so creative too to think this is like another outside the box kind of game where it's just like, you can pick any kind of game you want, and if you have a friend that comes over and they prefer these or this type of style, you can customize it to them so that you each have the most enjoyable experience that you can.
And so one of the taglines is like, will you create the next biggest hit or the next biggest flop? Because some genres just be like, nah, it just doesn't work. And it gives you an idea of what the devs go through, because they have to come up with, okay, what are we going to make next? We're going to make a new game. What genre do you want to do? Okay, we're in this genre. What's going to work in this genre? But this is like, well, this is where the creativity comes in. It's devs like to make their own ideas and change things on their heads and try to innovate. And this is what this is doing on the fly, essentially. And it's a really cool idea. I'm really intrigued by it. Comes out in May next year.
My question is, how long will the levels be, or the games?
I don't think the games are going to be like the RPG is not going to be 20 hours. It's probably going to be like
a quick little
Yeah, I mean, they said like when you beat games, you get these dev cards, which help you control the chaos and then maybe set parameters to your games or like get specific elements you want, so you get more control of the game you're putting together, which sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But if you're collecting all these cards, it has to allow you to beat a lot of these games a lot easier than a typical game would be.
Exactly.
So it's probably going to be a bite-sized experience. So here's a RPG platformer, here's a level, here's a boss, and here's, you know, maybe a side quest or something, and then there's that times all the games they have.
Yeah.
And away you go. So it looks pretty interesting. My wondering is if they get successful on this, and I think they may part 2 would have to be like the same idea but with IPs. Yes. Star Wars and Marvel. Imagine that mashed up. So the same idea, but now you're not just getting generic characters, you're getting like here's imagine Ghostbusters and Jaws, and you have like Ghost Sharks and like just that would be crazy.
That would. I think this is going to be a single like a standalone IP. I don't think they can make a sequel to this.
No, they'd cost too much. Yeah. But I think it's a great idea, and I applaud them for thinking outside the box.
Definitely. And I think it will do well because of this.
Yep, well. And the fact that it's coming out in May, you know, right before the summer things tend to slow down. You get 1 or 2 big releases, if that, but it's mostly smaller indie games. People go on vacation, so it's great to try these things out and actually, you know, party games in the summer. Have your friends over.
Great travel games too. You know, you're on board. I want to do this. Switch it up. Yeah. You can literally bring one game with you and have hours of entertainment and new experiences.
Absolutely. Then they showcase the Talos Principle, which is a puzzle-style first-person game. Sailforth is pirate cartoony game. You had Dauntless, which is like the Monster Hunter clone, which was a PS4 and Xbox game and now is available on the Switch. Murder by Numbers, a murder mystery puzzler game. You have Oddworld Stranger's Odyssey, which is the sequel of Oddworld, so that's going to be available in January. Skatebird, which is a game that's basically taking Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. If you remember that on a PlayStation, that game was a great skateboarding game. You collected mixtapes, you collected soundtracks, you collected customization outfits and stuff. Yeah. And you get all that in this game. One of the layouts in one of the rooms reminds me of a level in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. The only catch is that you're a bird on a skateboard versus a skater.
Exactly. So they literally just changed the skin on that, and then I guess you have that added feature of, you know,
flapping your wings and stuff
to
like
either
that.
Stay up longer or whatnot. So, you know, they could use that to their advantage being a bird, but literally they just changed the skin of, you know, the skater into a bird.
Yeah, and I think that the key here is that a lot of people have been wanting a true Tony Hawk's Pro Skater style game, and the last one that came out bombed because it not only had issues, it didn't capture the magic of what the originals felt like. They didn't go back to the grassroots of what it was, what makes this game great. Yeah, it's not just soundtrack, it's the physics, it's the trick, it's how the level design, and this looks like, okay, we're taking exactly that, polishing it up, and because we can't put Tony Hawk's name on it, let's slap on a bird and call it a game, and it looks great.
I agree.
We've got Liberated, side-scrolling game. That's a time exclusive on the Switch. We have this game called Boyfriend Dungeon. If you're into the Japanese kind of culture, it's made by the developer who did Had a Full Boyfriend, where you dated pigeons. This game, you're a dungeon crawler, and each of the weapons that you use turn into boyfriends that are suitable to date, apparently. So not my cup of tea, but definitely something for everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Dreamscaper, a beautiful dungeon crawler with puzzles. That's coming early 2020. And then we have Survivalist, which was made by the creators of the Escapist series. Beautiful art style. It's very much like a Minecraft kind of game, but it's a top-down perspective. And it's a survival game, very much like Minecraft, but also like what's that one? Don't Starve and those style games, where you go out, you craft, you collect stuff, you make recipes, you upgrade, you get better weapons, and you build bases and stuff. But they have some very cute art style. You're on a deserted island, and you can play with 2 other people locally, so you can play 3 players. Or you can play online as well. And then you have the ability to train monkeys and have them like kind of be your minions to like chop down trees and build stuff. And again, if you like Minecraft, you like that building survival kind of game, and this is it for you. And it's got a really cute art style.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which was a really awesome surprise to end the conference, was Tom Happ, the creator of Axiom Verge, came out and spoke and talked about that he is unveiling the sequel to Axiom Verge 2. He's been working on it for 4 years. The first one reached critical acclaim, and initially launching on the PlayStation 4 and then moving over to Xbox. Finally got a copy on the Vita and then made its way to the Switch. Excellent game, Metroidvania style. This is a sequel with more power-ups, more upgrades, a little bit of a different art style. I dig it, so I'm definitely in. There was no specific date, just a window, fall of next year, so towards the end of next year. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
Exciting.
Yeah, but that was it for Nintendo. Again, a lot of indies, but man, there's something for everyone.
Exactly. And creative different IPs, which is I'm all for.
So why don't you kick us into the Game Awards? That was the last big.
Sounds
hurrah.
good. So they did like a little bit of a pre-show, which they actually announced some awards during it and showed some world exclusives, which was a little bit different than what I thought they would do. So one of the world exclusives was the Ultimate Alliance 3 expansion pack. So it was the Rise of the Phoenix expansion pass. It will include Cable, Iceman, Gambit, and the Phoenix. And then it also has this new feature. They call it the Danger Room. So I don't know if it's a new level or if it's just different.
I think what they talked about, if I remember correctly from the voiceover, is it's the first player versus player.
Kind of like
where
Battlefield.
you each get your own team of heroes and fight in it. Kind of like you're pitted against each other. So you're not just fighting Ultron minions and stuff. You're actually like, oh, okay, you have Wolverine and Doctor Strange, and you're going up against Captain America and Hulk, and it's like, great, like this is cool because now you know what abilities they have, and they said watch out for debuffs and stuff like that because if they burn you, you're going to take damage over time. So now that actually is going to affect you.
Exactly.
Where it wasn't so much of that in the actual main game. It's a really cool twist on it, and if this is successful, they can make a full-on let's like a fighting game style.
Exactly. Which would be really cool to see. So that was one of their bigger announcements. They did a bunch of esports announcements and stuff like that. And then best fighting game was Super Smash Ultimate, which was nice to see.
I'm glad that they kicked Mortal Kombat out of there. And man, out of all the games, hands down for me, I'm like, that would have been my pick. A lot of people didn't think they'd win because it came out end of last year. So it wasn't like on top of mind. But Smash Brothers, out of all fighting games, especially because if it was like Melee or Brawl, I don't think it would have held a chance. But because it was Ultimate and it had everything in it, all the characters, was nothing missing, all the new stuff that they're adding, all the exposure, all the new all the IPs, the third party support, it is the perfect fighting game from that experience where you can just pick up and play, play with friends. You can play casual, you can play hardcore, easy to pick up, really difficult to master, and it's just the love and care that Nintendo's put in it, from music, from art, from just gaming history is what it is. It's a collection of like a museum of gaming, and it's
all your favorite characters all in one area.
Absolutely.
And you can change who you're playing with. Excellent. And then they get into the main awards. Some more announcements. Like almost fresh off. So they give the best role playing game, and then all of a sudden, this footage of all these new kind of trailers and games and scenery.
Talking about dreams, there's a lot of dream
dream
this. What if you could dream this? Something like if your dream lasted the span of 75 years. What if all your dreams came true, your wishes came true? But then what if you did? I'm like, what game is this? Looks beautiful. What game is it? And then it showed like a car racing. And then Master Chief, and I'm like, what is this?
Right at the edge of a cliff and everything. So I mean, the graphics look spectacular. And all of a sudden they show this, black box, and it starts to line in, and you see the X and the green glow on the top.
And then we realized, it was the reveal of the new Xbox console, the successor.
So they're naming it the Series X.
Which I think the name is garbage.
I agree.
They couldn't have. If you want to keep the X moniker, which has already been used, Xbox One X, Xbox One S, you have just the Xbox, you have the Xbox 360. If you're going to keep the X, then just call it the X2. Like, why Series X? The average person in the store, I want to get the Xbox X. Okay, well, we got the Series X, we got the Xbox One X. What are you looking for? The average person's not going to know the difference. So the fact that they called it a Series X probably means they're going to have a Series S, or a Series D, all digital edition or whatever they talked about, right? No disc. But, man, they already have the S and the X now. Just call it the S2 and the X2 for the sequel to what they have now. Or just give it a whole new name. But the Series X, I just don't like the name of it.
I agree. But that will come out holidays 2020, just like everyone was expecting. I mean, to me, it looked like a small CPU unit.
It was an interesting design.
Xbox Cube or whatever they were calling it.
So it's basically like a tower, a rectangular prism, very, very tall and narrow. And we'll put an image up for your review. But it's basically very plain. Like there's nothing on there. There's a slot for the games.
At the top it glows.
And that's what the venting is too, right? That's the air comes up. But it looks like it's smooth on all sides. I mean, it can't be. It's got to be plugged in. But I mean, it just looks very plain. You have the power button. You got the slot for the game. And it's very, very basic. And I'm not crazy about the design. I'm interested in the fact that it'll take up less shelf space, which is cool. But I don't know. Maybe just something etched in, some cool angles to it, something. Yeah. But like maybe if this part was kind of sliced down so that it was on an angle or something. But they did show a glimpse of the controller, and from the Game Awards, I thought it was the exact same controller as what we got now. I'm like, hey, great, confirmation our old controllers will work, which is what they talked about, backwards compatibility. Yeah. But at closer inspection, it looks like it is actually the old version of the Elite controller. So when Xbox One launched, they launched their regular controllers, and then they had this like $150 Elite controller you can get with changeable D-pad and special triggers, textured triggers and stuff. And that's what the new controller is modeled off of. So the standard controller will be the Elite controller because they've now released the new Elite. I think it's called the Elite Pro or the Elite 2. Yeah. And that one there's a $200+ price tag in Canada and has some more features. So they decided, let's standardize on the original Elite because it was so well received. That'll be our standard controller, and then we'll still sell the Elite to make more money. So I'm interested to try it out because I've always wanted to try an Elite. I like the textured grips. I like the D-pad. We'll see what it's about. Yeah.
So it was very interesting to finally actually see what it will look like and what's coming with it. So yeah, I mean the graphics look phenomenal, but it'll be closer to a computer now.
So it looks like we got some dimensions, and this is strictly based off of dev units that are out there and some conversations from other sites and Microsoft. So I don't know if this isn't stated on Microsoft's website by any means, but we've got basically the Xbox One X. If you have it stand up vertically, the height is 11.81 inches, and the new Xbox Series X is 11.33 inches. So it's actually not going to be as tall as an Xbox One standing vertically. Yep. And based on the image, it looks like it's about the width of an Xbox One controller and about the height of about 3 Xbox One controllers, give or take. Yeah. Just to give you a perspective. We'll put an image up here for you. But yeah, it's very small, which is great. Very sleek looking. It could have a better design in my opinion, and definitely a better name, but it all comes down to what the games look like and what the performance is.
Exactly. That's all that matters. Yeah. After that, they announced, they showed a little Mortal Kombat 11 clip and then showed that Joker and Harley Quinn will be playable characters for that. Which
they're already in Injustice. Yeah. So why? It is their thing,
But, something new to add to the Mortal Kombat fans. So I guess PlayStation 5 announced an exclusive Godfall.
That's right. And that was the first game that said coming to PlayStation 5. It was the
first exclusive to them. Looked a little different. 3 different beast type god characters trying to get into a storm.
Yeah, it was
so different. They didn't show too much about it, but they showed that. So that's the first kind of PlayStation 5 exclusive that we've heard about officially. And then one of the biggest things was the Fortnite section.
Oh yes, why don't you dive in that?
So that that was huge. They brought the developer for Fortnite on, talked a little bit about that, how they did the black hole, they shut it down, they've been trying to change everything and keep players, interested and engaged. So now they have this next step, and with the Rise of Skywalker coming out next week, this Saturday,
December
14th, J.J. Abrams came on and did a little video saying thanks for everything. Come join me on Saturday the 14th. I'll be there live, and you'll get a little bit of the story or something sneak.
Yeah, you'll get exclusive footage from the movie that's only available in game on the Risky Reels, I guess, drive-in movie theater that's in the game. Yeah. So you have to literally go walk there, avoid being killed, to sit there and watch the movie, because I'm sure there'd be people that just be throwing bombs and getting as many kills as they can while this is happening. Yeah. But you get to watch some footage, and then there's some exclusive perks.
Yeah. So instead of your normal glider, once you jump out of the bus, your glider will now be a TIE Whisperer for that day, which is very cool.
New ship from the movie, because I knew the TIE Silencer from Last Jedi. Yeah. Didn't know that it looks the same, but it's white. It's called the Whisperer.
That's right.
Didn't know there was a new ship.
So that will be available in the game, and starting now. So today you can play as 3 new characters in the game: Rey, Finn, and the Sith Trooper. So that's starting right away. You can get used to playing with them. But it's great that they're adding this new, I think this is, well, I guess they do a little bit here and there.
They did Batman. They did Thanos. They did, I think, Iron Man at one point.
Yeah. But it's nice to see like another IP come in. You know, Star
Do
Wars.
you think they're gonna do
so
Ghostbusters come next
big.
year? They got it.
Who knows? I mean, the
Instead
new,
of guns, you're using the
proton.
packs.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. I mean, Fortnite's just doing very well, and they're trying to get ahead of the game and stay relevant as long as they can and cash in as long as they can, which is great to see. So I was very excited to see all the Star Wars announcement for this for Fortnite.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played it much myself. My son enjoys playing it when he can, when he's allowed to play. So maybe I'll let him come on this weekend and check it out. So that'll be exciting. Other than that, they showed a couple a League of Legends story, Rune King. We find out later on that there's a second League of Legends story that they're taking out. They show a movie preview actually, the Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah, the Birds of Prey, which comes out next February.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was that soon.
I was surprised that they kind of showed a movie trailer in a gaming.
I'm surprised that like Suicide came out. I think you said they are making a sequel.
They are making a sequel.
Also making Birds of Prey. I thought the Birds of Prey was instead of the sequel because it's Harley Quinn.
Yeah, so they are I believe they're still making the Suicide Squad, the second one, because they're waiting for that to finish before they do Guardians 3, with James Gunn as the director. So that might have been pushed back. So that may be why they pushed Birds of Prey forward a little bit, but. That seems a little bit different for me. They did a Doom trailer, Doom Eternal. Devil May Cry 5 won the best action game, which was nice. Nothing crazy. Apex Legends, they had a holiday bash event that's coming up. That's right. So a little back and forth with the animation and the hosts for that. So, I mean, they showed a bunch of trailers. And then... So we finally got the rest of the
Ghost of Tsushima.
Tsushima trailer, which I loved. I'm really
excited. It looks great.
For this
they
game.
Have like this cool like grappling hook thing mechanic, and it looks interesting.
Yeah,
looks interesting.
Definitely. So I might pick that one up.
I just wonder, do you think it'll be harder than Jedi Fallen Order from the comment? Do you think it'll be closer to like a Dark Souls really brutal game, or do you think it'll be closer to Jedi where it's more of an entry point? It's easier because there is parrying, there is dodging, there is all that stuff. Sekiro is a brutal game from a difficulty. Is it going to be more Sekiro style, or is it going to be more Jedi Fallen Order? More, well, we'll ease you into that difficulty. I'm interested to know with all the gadgets and stuff. I assume it'll be more like the more you unlock, the more you upgrade, the easier it becomes. Yeah, a la Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Definitely. And then they announced the Gears Tactic, or they showed a Gears Tactic trailer. Right. So that's more of an RPG turn-based style game, which was interesting to see. You go to your spot and then you do your action, and it shows, I guess, a clip of you doing it and such. So that was different and interesting. Other than that, they didn't show. They showed. They brought out Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
Diesel.
Yes,
and they have a new Fast and Furious Crossroads video game. Yeah, so that's a little bit different.
She produced because she used to produce. She's the actor and producer, so she was like, not only did they voice work and stuff, but it looks like she was part of the production side of it.
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of
to make sure the story was
part of their storyline and stays canon, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But
there was a little Jumanji trailer thing going on in where they were made in the Dreams game.
Yes, which was interesting to see as well. Yeah. So they brought a lot of big names. Reed, Norman Reed?
Yes, Norman Reedus. Yeah,
he came on as well. So they had a lot of star power kind of there as well. Not the AA listers, but the big names still. So overall, the game, there's a lot of world exclusive premieres for trailers and such, but nothing that really caught my eye that I'm circling. I got to pre-order this or anything right now.
The only new announcement for Nintendo was the Bravely Default 2, which as an RPG fan, people are going to love that. Yeah, I was never a Bravely Default fan. I like Octopath Traveler. I like the art style that drew me in, and I like turn-based RPGs, but the Bravely Default was never really my thing on 3DS. I don't know if I'll give this one a go, but I was disappointed they did not announce the Final Smash character. I thought that was a given, considering they started it with Joker last year, And they did that for his release to come out in February, and then they had their releases, and so you'd assume the last one, which has to come out in February, would be announced in December.
So that they can start the pre-orders and everything.
Yeah, but they did not. So I guess the speculation is that Nintendo will do a direct in January, where they'll definitely have it. But my question is, are they going to bookend it with, they started off with the final Smash character of the Fighter Pack 1, and then end with the first character of the next Fighter Pack, and say, okay, this one's coming out like in February, the next one's going to come out in summer or in spring, and just give a window and then give you a sneak peek, sort of like we had Banjo, and then we had a tease of Terry, right? We had that little like, oh, and you know, here's a quick little like, boop, boop, you saw like one move and that was it.
Yeah,
they could do that to say like, oh yeah, we're done with him. He's coming out in February. This is what we're working on. It's the beginning, so like you don't get much footage, just to keep the excitement going.
Yeah.
And we don't know how many.
Smart.
We don't know how many there's going to be in the second pack. A rumor is it's probably only going to be 3. But Nintendo, this is the ultimate version of the game. They're never going to have a game with all the characters. So the more that they can throw in, the more characters they can add onto it, the better it's going to be. So I think that ultimately it's probably going to be in their 5. Keep this going for another year. If they're smart, they'll make this like a true online game where they just keep adding more characters every year. Another 5, another 5, another 5. The Switch is done. 5 years later, okay, the game is done. And now you got 5 years worth of tons of content. They could add stages. They could add a whole bunch of new stuff. I think that would be printing money.
Exactly.
Like, why not?
Yeah, it would be a smart move for them to do. And, you know, it's a great thing. A lot of collectors like it just if they don't play the game even. A lot of gamers like it just, you know. So it works on both ends. And it's very creative and it's easy for them to do.
Yep.
Like, so once they get all that done, it'll be interesting to see how far they expand it, though.
Yeah, so I think the biggest shocking news was the fact that Xbox revealed their next system at Game Awards and the way they did it. I definitely thought that was going to be an E3 announcement along with PS5.
Yes.
They didn't. They went their own way, which is fine. They got ahead of the news cycle and like we're out and about. It's Christmas time. Everyone's thinking Xbox again.
Yeah.
To get because I guess next year they want to hit the ground rolling. They talked about the 15 first party studios they now have. All of them working on new experiences, content. All for the new system. So that's basically minimum 15 exclusives that we're getting over the next 5 to 7 years. So that's like what, 2 a year?
Yeah.
3 a year?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So there's lots of potential with them, not to mention that they're going to have new acquisitions. They have third parties. They're going to have indies and all this other stuff to go on. So definitely strong start. We'll see what PlayStation can do because they seem to be dwindling now, not from a sales perspective, but just from a content perspective.
Exactly. And their name. Like you don't really hear much from PlayStation right now, but it's all, you know, Xbox announced this, Xbox
what they're doing.
This is their specs.
The right moves, the Project X Cloud,
yeah.
The partnerships with Nintendo. You got Banjo on it. You have the Cuphead on the Switch, and there's just so much stuff that's going on that, you know, if Microsoft continues this partnership, they launch a new Xbox. If they launch Xbox X Cloud to work with the Switch, like Microsoft's gonna be the household name. Like everyone has a Switch, and everyone's gonna have an Xbox. And PlayStation is the niche system that you only buy for the 1 or 2 exclusives because Xbox is everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, interesting show. It was a little long for me. They had 3 performances. I wasn't interested in churches and yeah. So it wasn't my thing. Definitely felt like last year was stronger with what they showed, but I definitely like the surprise Xbox. I'm kind of curious as to what happens coming in the next couple of years.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, that's overall the gaming news. You heard what we're excited about, what we're looking forward to as we're approaching the holiday season. I think right now our minds are focused strictly on Star Wars before we get back into the gaming.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely all Star Wars right now.
So let us know your thoughts. What was your most hype moment over this week in regards to PlayStation State of Play, Nintendo's Indie World, and the Game Awards? Let us know in the comments below. If you'd like to support us, please subscribe to our channel, and we'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email at nerdstalkinfo@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear about any other content you'd like us to cover. If you'd like to reach us on the social media links, Instagram and Twitter, we're at Talk Nerds. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/NerdsTalkCanada. And as always, folks, stay nerdy.